So I'm Arnaud Quintin, I'm EDBA cohort 9. Very happy to be here. It's very special for me to be here tonight. Very, very special. You'll understand very quickly why. So I'll tell just a few words about myself. Background, business. I've been doing my MBA, now doing the EDBA. Still not done, still on my ILR, in fact. But you will see the link exactly with what I'm going to present. But I've been working most of my life for big companies, GE, Medtronic, most recently Renault Group, where I was actually leading transformation for the group, for the CEO and the executive committee. And the CEO changed, I changed, and for many reasons, in fact. But the point is, I reached, I would say, a stage in my life. I think we're all kind of same generation, 40, 50. After having worked for many big companies, I launched 2 startups before as well in healthcare and in technology. I thought, what do I want to do now? What do I want to do? Well, you know, what makes sense to me? So I started the DBA 2 years ago. That was kind of the first step where I thought, that looks very interesting. I wanted to study more again and go deep into some areas. I've been managing a lot of transformation, so I'm passionate about transformation. So I thought, let's see what I can do on this and where it leads, okay? And then I thought, you know, with the AI wave, I thought I want to go much further on that as well. So I started a program at MIT doing a Chief Digital Officer program, which I'm also doing now. I did also some courses on AI business transformation in other business schools, including Kellogg. And then at some point, it all made sense. And I realized, and, I was talking about Steve Jobs saying connecting the dots. That's really what happened. I've been doing a lot of transformation, which I love. AI is, I think, fantastic. It raises a lot of questions, but it brings a lot as well. And the third point I would say, which ties directly to the project, is I've been an entrepreneur. My parents were entrepreneurs. My dad doesn't even have his baccalaureate. He's been an entrepreneur all his life. And I've seen how he was struggling to sometimes to make decisions, to analyze, you know, issues or what he was facing. And I thought, you know, it would have been great if he had had some advisor. So someone would tell him, this is what I think you should do. He didn't have the money to pay BCG or McKinsey to do that. He didn't have the money even to have some advisors telling him what to do. And I thought, you know where I'm going now. AI, consulting, small and medium businesses, you know. So that's why I created YPrtnrs. And YPrtnrs, in a nutshell, very simply, is AI consulting reimagined. So just bear with me. This is the first time I'm sharing that. No one before you has seen that. So just realize you guys are very important to me tonight. But what I want is you to give me your feedback, very honest, and say, this is crap, this is great, this doesn't make sense, or in fact, it's a fantastic idea. So YPrtnrs is really AI reimagined. And what I mean by that, strategic depth, and you will see why, and that ties directly to the EDBA. AI speed, so we have an AI advisor. Operationally yours, so companies and SMBs in particular are not going to be left aside. They're going to have all the knowledge, all the resources, all the information to be able to manage their own AI transformation. And then real world-class, meaning very accessible. And I think this is where the model is very disrupting. Basically, I'm offering consulting at the cost of the Copilot. So the mission is really to make world-class AI transformation accessible, actionable, and fast. So what's the issue? When I did all the research and looking at thousands of reports, there are really 4 main topics. One, consultants are slow and very expensive for SMBs and small companies. Okay, that's obvious. Second, when you look at copilots or ChatGPT or all the AI GPTs you can think of, they are very generic. You don't want to put your confidential information in them. You don't want to use any confidential data. So that's kind of limited in how you can use it. Big companies, they take the GPTs and then they plug it on their system and then they manage data. But those are big companies. Third, entrepreneurs are, I would say, leaders of SMBs. And SMBs, I mean about people, companies that have between 10 and 200, 300 employees. Okay, they're overwhelmed, and they have no clue where to start on AI. Absolutely no clue. And they don't want to be externally dependent. Because as you know, when you work with consultants, what consultants love to do is to create more revenue. So they stick and they sell you always more stuff. So what I thought is we need people to be fully independent. So YPrtnrs is really organized around 4 topics. One is the Copilot, which I'm going to share, and we'll use it live so you see how it works. E-guides and e-tools, which I will talk about as well. Operational support, which is kind of PMO and advanced PMO automated and AI-driven. And last is, I would say, real management of the AI transformation for the company. So this is where my kind of consulting background comes back and say, we can do very fast, flash, missions on consulting, which would cost 10, 15, 20K. That's it. And we're going to structure everything for you. So when you think about it, you have AI, you have tools, you have operational support and I would say PMO kind of stuff, and then full transformation support with kind of traditional consultants. So before I got there, I did my ILR, and actually the research question on the ILR was what are the critical capabilities and organizational capabilities, but not only organizational, does a SMB need to adopt and scale AI successfully? So I did the whole research. You guys are going through that now. You know what it means. And there were 3 models that were making sense. One is the TOE. I had the DCT as well on dynamic capabilities, and then ECAT, which is probably a bit less known, but it's about absorptive capacity. How capable is a company of absorbing change and new ideas. But TOE was static. ECAP and ECAT was, I would say, not really detailed. And the last one, which was DCT, was dynamic, but it was also limited in how to implement it. So throughout the ILR, and at the end of the ILR, I came up with my own model, which I call DCTA, which stands for Exploring, Capturing, Transforming, and Accelerating. And the accelerating part is about how do you actually use AI to accelerate your own AI initiatives. A lot of companies are doing that now. What AI tool do you want to implement in your company to drive more impact? So exploring is about how you look for opportunities, how do you assess projects, how do you assess opportunities. Capturing is how do you capture that and build internally. Transforming is about how you change your organization, not only culturally and organizationally, but also from a technical standpoint. And then you have that acceleration loop. So the whole thing is very dynamic. It's recursive, so it doesn't stop. It's constant. You go through each step all the time. And what I wanted to do was to generate a business out of that. That was really the idea. So where does it start? Very simply, a company comes, or a leader, looks at the website, and you'll be able to go through it on Monday, because it will be launched on Monday at 3 p.m. And you have 2 ways to do it. Either you think, I don't want to spend time on that. Let's do a very quick assessment. So in 5 minutes, we provide an assessment of AI capabilities in a company. 12 questions, which are derived from the whole ECTA research I've done. And then if it makes sense and you're like, that's interesting, maybe I want to do the full assessment. Then you go through 60 questions, half an hour, which are much more detailed. They cover each topic, each ECTA dimension. And at the end, you have a report. and you even generate a 30, 60, 90-day report, and I'm going to show you how it works. So literally in 30 minutes, you have an assessment of your AI capabilities, what you should do, how you can implement, and what it should look like. Typically, a consulting company would do that in, I would say, at least 4 weeks, and for at least 5 to 10K. So now, when you've done that assessment, you have 4 things, which I mentioned. One is the copilot. So just a snapshot. Of course, available 24/7. It's AI, so you can use it on the spot. In fact, which is very interesting and which I love, you do it on your computer, then you go and take the subway, and then you access the copilot, which has all the information that you entered on your computer. You do it on your mobile, and then at home you do it on a tablet. Everything is synced real time. So you have kind of an advisory board. It's not only asking a GPT. There are 7 personality traits which we have captured in the model, and which translate the advice you're going to get from each personality traits. So I will show you as well to make it very concrete, but right now we have about 10 personas that you can choose from: the HR guy, the IT guy, the CEO. So you can ask the question to the CEO and then ask the question to the HR. What do you think of what said the CEO? And then the GPT is going to react and respond. Dual RAG. I don't know if you guys are familiar with RAG, Retrieval Augmented Generation. So if you think about it, it's like augmenting an LLM, traditional LLM, by putting your own stuff. So you bring documents, and this is totally protected, EU compliant, US compliant. I mean, everything is locked. It's only yours. The documents are kind of chunked into pieces, which the process we call vectorized. And then they're put into the GPT, which doesn't share outside. And this is very important. But that means that you don't only have the web information, you have also your own stuff from your company and the research you have done, which is going to be crushed. No, how would I say? Which is going to be used and leveraged in the analysis of the GPT. So it becomes very personalized. And the third point is, I said 24/7 access. So what we want here, and I'm working on it every day, is to make something that is very valuable for an SME leader. I want those guys or ladies to think, wow, that's such a good advice. I never thought about that. That's very practical, that's very insightful, and I can implement it now. So that's for the copilot. Then after that, you have the knowledge and tools. This is more traditional stuff. It may not be launched on Monday, because that's only have 24 hours in a day, but that's fine. So this is more manuals, guides on big topics for SME leaders who want to learn about AI. So AI operational model. How do we calculate ROI on AI projects? So we have 8 e-guides like that. We have 8 e-tools, which are actually the tools you're going to use, and 6 what we call tailored reports, which are actually based on the information you have in your RAG system. You're going to get your own reports for the company on very concrete and significant topics. I just mentioned ROI. I mentioned also the prioritization of projects. So, very just instantly, you're going to get a report on which projects you should launch. Operational support. That's more traditional, but the way it's implemented in what we call the command center is extremely strong, very powerful. It replaces pretty much a PMO person that you are going to hire. So the projects that have been identified from your diagnostic are going to be automatically, I would say, split into activities and owners. So you just need to validate those owners and the activities, and that's it. It's automated. Everybody's going to receive, it's going to manage your whole governance automatically. Yeah, flash consulting, which is what I said before, potentially have some consultant coming and doing some flash deeper analysis on topics that you want to investigate. And team augmentation, because here really what you want to do is to educate your team as an SME leader and to have some additional expertise. And then, as I just said, the full transformation, AI transformation management, which we call the transformation office. And here, the idea is to offer what we call fractional chief digital AI officer or or CDOs to actually act as on the spot 1-2 days per week or per month to manage those AI projects from end to end. So that's really having someone in your team who's going to do the job, but you don't want to have or to hire someone to do that specifically. So those are really the 4 things that we're offering. And basically what it does, it simplifies every step of what I call the AI transformation journey. These are the steps that any company is going through. So from diagnosis to building action plan and identifying some specific projects they want to work on, to building a whole blueprint, roadmap, activities, timing, PMO stuff, then the accelerator, which is about, again, managing that automatically and digitally, and then the partner is more the transformation, AI transformation office. And we are simplifying and accelerating each one of those steps. The idea is not to have an impact in 6 months. The idea is to have impact in 1 month and have the first project launched. Very quickly, when you look at the whole system, so we have really 6 dimensions, AI must-haves, which is like 5 dimensions that you absolutely need to have in your company and from an organization standpoint. The ECTA, I just talked about frameworks, so I'm not going into all the details, but to make decisions and to decide exactly where you want to work, we have about 14 frameworks that have been developed specifically for that. E-guides, e-tools, and company reports, as I just mentioned. So how does it tie to the EDBA? I thought I would share with you, this on the journey. The ILR was, as I just said, really the beginning for me, and also a way to kind of identify the opportunity. Because going through all those documents, reports, theses, and I saw a common thread about the fact that companies were lost, they didn't know how to do it, they had no tools to do it, no methodology. So there was, for me, a clear business opportunity. And I worked a lot with many big consultants. This is not something they know how to do. What I just shared is something that actually doesn't exist today. So you know what? I don't know how it's going to work. I don't know if it's going to work. But this is kind of my baby, where I've seen not only from my experience, from the research, from AI, where there was potentially an opportunity. And I'm sure that in the next 2-3 years, there will be a lot of companies doing that. You can't disrupt the consulting business because those guys, they just can't. They can't offer that. Some big consulting, Big 4 companies have been trying to offer, cheap approach, but they break their business. So this is something new, and we will see if people enjoy. But long story short, the ILR was really for me to build the framework, the CTA and the whole mechanism and around the transformation. Then the qualitative study, which I haven't started yet in details, but I've worked on the structure, is going to be about identifying patterns in SME companies to see what has most impact. And all this is going to feed the model, the AI model. And then last but not least, probably I'm thinking about doing an embedded case study on my company. Not to talk about myself, which is not the point, but to think about how is AI disrupting the consulting industry. I'm sure you have read in many articles that a lot of consultants are being made redundant, or companies don't hire anymore, especially junior ones. But I think we're going to see much more change and turmoil in the industry. So that's about it. I don't know if you have any question, any reaction. We'd be very curious to anything you want to share, or yes. Do I need to give a mic?
Hi, I thought it was an excellent presentation. I think that the main point that I had was on your methodology and the ECTA. I think that you should present that in an elevator pitch style, because it's very important, I think, for your customers to understand your IP in a more clear way. So I think that that would have been the only thing that I thought was missing. And my question to you is, how are you controlling for bias in the ECTA model? I think that I've been reading a lot lately about how generative AI and other systems have, for the same basic structure of the data that they collect, a way in which they can end up creating advice, or in this case, consulting suggestions that might be biased for, let's say, gender or the region in France where they are located. How do you control for that? I think that would be interesting to show to the client, to show to the consumer how you're taking their own particularity, because to some extent, when you use these systems, sometimes you want to play out not only the personas that you can ask, but also the personas that you might have to play your own scenario. So I just wanted to ask you that question.
Thank you. Great question, and the bias one is a very important one. That's why, well, maybe a couple of points. First of all, I didn't want to, I'm using GPT models for their way of the algorithm and the way they think. But I want to use as much as possible non-public information, where a lot of research papers, as you know, are non-public. Some are public, but some are, a lot of them are non-public. And you know, I'm starting now with about 30 interviews for the qualitative, but I'm integrating as well all those surveys that people will do online, and that's why I'm offering it for free now, because I really want to build a database out of that from people who are entrepreneurs, and they will fill all the information themselves. So the bias for me is going to come from building data over time, the non-bias, if I may say. You know, the way I think about it is like when Google, you know, built their own maps. They didn't use external maps. They just they have built their own. They have sent cars on the street and going millions of kilometers to take pictures of everything. And that's how I like to think about it, is we should go very deep into really what people have done, what they're saying they have done, and not have interpretation or bias, which is going to be based on the system. I don't know if that answers your question, but it's a very important point. And something I didn't show, but there is a lot of feedback I'm going to ask all the time. And also a lot of kind of precise information about how did you do that? How did it work? What was the impact? What was to, again, feed the model? I think the SMBs and SMEs it's a strange beast. It's extremely fragmented. There is no magic way of doing it with them. So I started by looking at the studies and the research that exist. But when you compare that to a lot of generic content about how is AI implemented, you really have to dig. And the selection of papers I've done was quite brutal, but because a lot of them were not significant or reliable, if I may say. So this is not easy. It's going to be built over time, but it's a great question, great point.
Hello, thank you very much for your testimony, and congrats for this achievement. My name is Amina Galliano. I'm an ex-MBA. I'm from a consulting world. Okay. And I'm just at the level of AI for dummies, actually. And I'm fully aligned with your how to say in English? Le constat?
Analysis.
The statement? Yeah? Okay. Thank you. And what I discovered so far related to AI and the adoption of AI is that people actually have some reluctance, feeling themselves not ready, not able to understand it, and the big challenge is how to train and make at ease users. How do you tackle this point?
So I take things one step at a time. Again, you'll see on the website on Monday, we will include or provide training in the future as well, okay? On the methodologies, on the tools, but not only. I'm thinking about potentially partnering, because I've had that question several times in France, but in other countries as well. From people who are telling me, you know, my team, they don't understand shit about AI. They don't know what they should do. They don't even understand the language. Where should they start? So my first question, my first answer, short term, is, well, there are a lot of courses online. You have Coursera, you have, tons of things. At this stage, what I want is to make the point about we can do consulting differently. We can afford it. Anybody can afford it. And you don't have to wait for 12 months to have impact on the answer to your project. But so as we work on the projects, and in the, where is it? The transformation piece, DI Transformation Office, a lot of it is going to be about full transfer, which is on bottom middle. Which means how the teams are going to adopt what you have done and make sure that it's going to be sustainable, scalable. Because again, I've read tons of things on companies that were starting pilots, but they are ending nowhere. Or they say, yeah, AI is working perfect, but nobody's using it. So there's a huge dimension, and I could share research on that, and you will see it in the ILR, on the fact that one of the first reasons for failure on AI projects is organization and culture. And leadership. It's not technology, it's not tools, the processes. It's about how are people not only trained, but embarked, educated, and how do we involve them, and how does the leadership engage and takes ownership of the whole transformation, because it's a company transformation, not individual or initiative transformation. So again, long story short, I think on this one, I'm not addressing it now because there are many other companies doing it. I don't want to stretch myself too thin. So the idea is probably at some time working with partners that can bring that part to the teams that are needing it.
Firstly, congratulations on the presentation. You are an entrepreneur. Your presentation, the style with the story, everything resonated, it just reflected. So congrats on this. I have a lot of talking points which I'll take offline. So I have one feedback or a reflection and one question. The feedback is the uniqueness of your AI, product is that it combines a lot of academic research and practice. I think you could, in your elevator pitch, bring that. And you explained all of the concepts, how it is integrated, the ECTA method and all. It could be a tagline as well. That's just a feedback or reflection. The question is...
Can I ask why?
Because that makes it unique. It's not another AI application or a innovation. But because you have both worlds, you have experience both in terms of corporate organizations and research, you can also brand position this well. And it just reflected in your presentation. You just need to add it to your story. The question, but before that, I'm a HR by profession with talent, so I ask this as a human resources. What happens to consultants if we start using this product? If you're able to answer this, you become responsible entrepreneur. So that's my question.
Then I'm going to ask Alan not to put it on the website. What happens to consultants? You know, those guys didn't wait for me to make decisions. You probably saw McKinsey has stopped recruiting, I think it's 20,000 juniors, but they said we still have 10,000 new ones, which are actually going to be agents, AI agents. I don't have a clear answer to that. I think what I like to think about is, you know, when we invented the calculator, actually the name calculator comes from a title of a job. It was women, most cases, thousands of women in rooms computing all day. And then you had a head of a team managing those ladies, and then the head of the department. And I love this picture. I'm sure if you search it, you will find it. And you find at the top, it was like stairs like that. And at the top, you have the master calculator. What happened to them? I think we just can't go against evolution. Working for now very deeply a year on this topic, I think the biggest one is ethics and compliance and the way we treat information and the bias, which is very significant point. But beyond that, I think it's just like any other invention or disruption in technology. We're going to have to live with it. The thing and what is very unique, and you know, I'm not saying anything super smart, but I think what is very unique is the speed, the impact. I was actually at MIT in Boston a few months ago, where we had a professor, a researcher, who has been looking at evolution of work and jobs. And he said, until now, I was not afraid. But he said, for the first time, I'm afraid, because he has seen all the statistics of companies hiring people. They just stopped. And it's, I mean, we see it in news, but it's millions of people impacted today on jobs. So I think to a certain extent, it's inevitable. It's here to stay. We have to live with it. You know, we take even my personal example. I thought, what do you want to do with that? Do you want to learn, or do you want to disappear? So I think it's up to us to use that, leverage that as much as we can in the, you know, in the areas of expertise we have. And I will just put something back, which is very important to me at the beginning. Those 3 words: smart, human, fast. You can't make it smart if it's not human. It's not going to work. And the way I've developed this is I've used a lot of AI myself, and it has augmented me, as you know, we like to say. So now I'm more like in a position where I think about how is it going to help me instead of when am I going to be replaced. And I think that's how we have to think about it. You know, it's going very fast, and that's very scary. So we have to address it and take this and be each one of us active to that.
Hi, so thank you for your presentation. And in terms of feedback kind of question, one comes to me is, what do you know about the strategic needs of your future customers? Because it's a new market. You're targeting companies, small businesses that not hiring any consultants, or very few. So what do you know? Did you run any survey? And do you think about it just for France, for Île-de-France, or internationally? Because small business is part of culture, of local cultures too, so it differs. So that's the first question.
I can answer that one already if you want.
Yeah, you can.
Okay.
Please do.
Okay. So how do I know about those guys? Well, first, it's been a lot of research, as I said. And now, I didn't run any surveys yet. Okay. The surveys are here, and they are actually what I can show you afterwards. But it's really about those list of questions, and that's how I'm going to see is there interest. But what I can say is that through research, the key pattern is that they know it's coming, and there are tons of statistics. I could have brought a table with all statistics, but 80% of them don't know how to act on it. They don't know where to start. Second, they don't have the skills. And third, they don't know how they would have to allocate their team and time on those projects. So to your point on consultants, they don't usually hire consultants, but this is going to be different for them. It's actually giving them access to a consultant.
My sincere apologies. My question was not meant on this way because you already mentioned that. It's just that when you are new in the business, that in the market, for something that people don't relate to, don't visualize the value of it, they sense it, but they don't see it. So they can be reluctant to spend money on it. And actually, this is just to create the emotion that they feel like they are seen and understood. So that my question was just if you had the survey, you don't have it yet, which I understand, because it's polynuclear, don't know how to say that. There's not one small business, there are as many small businesses as you have owners.
There are many.
Yeah.
And I'm going to see the segmentation and the country to your point on the question.
Yeah,
so.
and I get that point. So have you considered to partner with CGPMO or these organizations which are concentrating small businesses?
So yes, for me that's the next step. Actually, I created some contacts with the, how do you call them?
CGPMO?
Yes, GPME and all the associations with the SMBs, but not only in France. I'm also looking at UK. US I will see because that's a big market, but UAE definitely, because UAE, they have a big push on SMEs. They want to support SMEs and they don't know how to do it. Now the typology of customers are different. An SME in the UAE is not going to be the same as in France. And especially in UAE, if you look at companies that have 100 people, they have no IT, very poor. So I will learn as we go.
Yeah, and so it gets now to my feedback for the presentation. Your product is great, and the way you put it is good, but for the moment I felt like it missed the problems of the small businesses to make this connection and see where is actually the big value to them to spend €1 on it.
Sorry, just I'm not sure I understood. The value for them is?
To spend at least €1 on it. So they will spend more, of course. But it's just through them because it's an area where they have to deal with choices every day. And people tend to think with that what they know, not what they don't know. So it's to...
No, that's a fair point. For me, it's not I miss the value, it's critical for them. And they all say it. We'll see. Okay, I get the point, the link. Thank you.
Last question. No?
Thank you all. Thank you for your feedback. And go to the website, put your email, and then you'll get all the news. Thank you.
Maybe you wanted to...
Did you want to do a simulation?
Oh yeah, did you want to see it? So, can you see my, yeah, excellent. So you have an app here. And basically, you have several parts. So the bottom one is my part, that's the admin part. But when you get to your app, when you open your app, you have a dashboard which is going to show you where you stand on all the projects that you have. But what I wanted to show is the Copilot. So characteristics, you have, as I said, the custom AI personas, you have the model selection. So basically here, you have all the AI models that you want to use. And quite frankly, they all have different response. I'm not sure you see, but the point is not all the details, but some are faster, some are better for these kind of questions. Some are more in-depth. So you can choose pretty much the one you want, and it's all Gemini and GPT for now. You select also where you want to find information and all the insights, and that's where you have the RAG link. So of course the web, but you can choose to include or not your documents. So for that, you have a workspace here where you're going to add, I just created a profile, but where you're going to have all your files that you want to upload from your company. As I said, it's going to be vectorized to be part of the model. Where was I? Copilot. So you have the docs. You want to use your docs as well. You choose your model. And this is where you choose the persona you want to be using. So the person you want to talk to, basically. And the way it's done is if you go to settings. Okay, skip tour for now. Do you have your Copilot preferences? You can create your own personas, so I created one. You can create other ones. And then you adjust the style of the person, the creativity, which is a big thing in AI, which we call also a temperature of the model. The tone, the style, the length, the expertise. Do you want to be extremely expert, extremely technical, or someone who's kind of a little bit less technical, who's going to come with a big, more the helicopter view? Directness, are you like someone who's going to be very straightforward or more polite? The focus. And then this small window, which is going to be the role description. So you're going to say here, this is Mark. Is going to be that kind of role, and here are his characteristics. And this is going to feed the way the data is going to be used to answer the question. So here we have some predefined personas. Okay, so they are locked, but you can create your own. Okay, and then you go back to your window. So you can choose the languages you want to use for the thing. You can even talk to it instead of writing. You can add other documents if you want. So I'm going to ask a question for Alan. How can we just develop AI at École des Ponts? Is that a good one? For free? Okay, at École des Ponts, with no money. With no budget. Okay. With no budget. I'm going to use a CEO view, okay? So this is Victoria. I'm going to use G3 Flash, which is fast. So just bear with me. As you will see, it takes a little bit more time than just ChatGPT, because it's going to look into the data that you have as well. So it's not like instant, it takes a few seconds. And also it structures the whole response. And this is based right now on the mostly web. I have very little information in my workspace, so it's it's not extremely granular. So it talks about a prestigious institution like École des Ponts. Without a dedicated budget, it's not only possible, it's actually very strategic. And then it's going to give you all the stuff. So let me go down to what makes sense. Tap into student power and academic tracks. Okay. Now, conduct internal audit of where AI can solve immediate pain points, admissions, automation or research, data sorting, set ambitious strategic goals. Okay. Build momentum gradually rather than, okay. Now, draft a student pilot project proposal, for instance. So, of course, these are kind of broad answers because it was kind of a broad question itself. And because we don't have internal resources. But if you think about it, Alan, you know, with all the projects that is being done in École des Ponts, you put it here. You do research also on everything that is being done in other business schools. Just put it there, or you ask it to look for it, and it's going to give you very clear answers. AI-driven operational efficiency pilot, project mission and value proposition. I'm not going to go through all the details. Proposed intervention, how the student team will follow a 3-stage agile approach, audit and data readiness assessment, build a chat with our data application, etc., etc. So now you can ask, I don't know, your business consultant. What do you think of that? And once you get to the granular level that you want, you can PDF it, email it to you, copy it, whatever you want. Highly strategic entry point, okay. Then it's going to proof of value before investment. You're following the principle of building momentum gradually. So it's going to give you additional point. And as you go through it, then you can start building really and identifying projects. And I've used some cases on my own, in my own either companies or what I've been doing. And then you get down to the point where you have your own plan. But let's look into the diagnostic. So here, what happens? Someone has filled in so the 60 questions. The company is Tech Vision Solutions. So they have a whole readiness assessment at a glance across the 4 dimensions that we talked about, where they compare themselves to the industry and then to other peers. Some key takeaways, average ranking. So it gives them, kind of an idea. Now, when you look at each dimension, then it gives a more granular analysis of where they stand. So this is exploring. That's the exploring phase. So you have some analysis, you have some ranking as well, and then it gets interesting. Your next actions: establish AI opportunity board, develop industry-specific AI radar. It links to the documents that we have internally. And then if you go to the actions and the AI priorities, it has grouped them into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 big priorities. So launch 2 to 3 quick win AI pilots. And then it gives you the steps week by week. Again, how it ties to the tools that we have used. And this is not very granular yet. What you can do next, and this is where it gets very granular. Now you have those directions, and by the way, the whole analysis here and getting to that level is 69 euros. You want to generate an action plan. I'm going to go quickly, but you basically enter business priorities that you may have. You enter specific projects that you have today. Then you give some other adjustments on the ECTA context, constraints that you have, and then it will generate the plan. So you have some, I would say broad, but broad questions. Are your revenue about customer acquisition and conversion issues? Customer service is really poor. We want to improve that, etc., etc. Then it's going to give you sub-projects. I'm just deselecting some of them. And those are examples of sub-projects. Next is what is very specific about you. And this is where you're going to enter your own projects. What are you going to do on sales? What is, so you have some example, demand forecasting with resource optimization. Okay, we're really bad at demand forecasting. Customer churn is terrible. We want to improve that. So you just choose them. They are automatically populated. You can set targets specifically. Then in your survey, those are your scores, and you can add more specific situation, context, goals and expected outcome. Again, give more granular information. And the more granular the information, the better the plan, of course. And then you put your constraints. I have about 6 people working on that. Let's give ourselves 6 months, and there is strong leadership resistance. Oops. My team, they don't like AI. I don't know how I'm going to do that. So it's going to look at your diagnostic, your context, all the information you have entered, your documents, proprietary frameworks that we have, the 14 frameworks, research on the web, and AI synthesis. And then it generates the plan. So it takes a bit of time to enter all those information, but think about it. How much time would it require to a consultant to get to that level of detailed information and recommendation? I have to shorten that. But really now what it did was to look into everything that you gave him, all your context, all the information that you have, the research. Also, we are populating a whole database of use cases that we have seen across all industries and geographies as well. And then it gives you the specific projects. So, implement AI lead scoring model. Okay, deploy chatbot for lead qualification. Review, optimize AI lead scoring model, etc., etc. You say, I don't want to do that. I want to do that. Develop AI-powered self-service knowledge base. I don't know, I don't want to do that, etc., etc. So I'm just deselecting. At the end of the day, you have 7 actions. You validate your plan. And then you have your dashboard with all the plan. And that's where you see, by dimension, every project that you have the owner, you have all the specific actions you're going to have to do on each one of those, who you want to be responsible of those, for those actions, the start, the end. You validate all that, and what it's going to do is populate everything and then give you basically week by week what needs to be done, and then you have your dashboard where you're gonna have reminders. This team needs to do that, this team needs to do that, these are your KPIs, blah, 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 blah. And then you follow it. So this is what I call the PMO part, which is fully automated. Again, I've done that in 2 minutes. But I would say, if you give that to your AI leader or the person who's gonna, manage the project, he has basically everything on the same spot. And then, of course, you involve your team. So you invite people, they can put information, they can share, they have access to all the reports, and it's done instantly. They have automated communication, invitations, emails. So it becomes really your physical copilot, if I may say. So that's it in a nutshell.